The Revolt of 1857. The mighty uprising of 1857 was the first great and direct threat to the British rule in India, which shook the very foundation of the British Empire. It was for the first time that so many Indian rulers came together to fight with the common enemy, that is, British, to oust them from the country. The greater part of the country, whether directly or indirectly, was involved in the defiance of British authority. British historians are of the opinion that it was a mutiny of Sepoys, or the Indian soldiers of lower rank in English army, because the whole of India did not participate in it. South India, Bengal and Punjab were only marginally affected. The early Indian historians are of the view that it was indeed the first war of Indian independence. The coming together of soldiers from different regions and rulers of different principles and participation of different sections of society for the common aim of overthrowing the British government was unprecedented in Indian history. It possessed a national philosophy and represented a national outlook in context of those days. In principle, it represented a desire for the freedom in every form. The causes of revolt. The revolt was caused by the cumulative effect of the discontent that was brewing up in the minds of the people. The different reasons responsible for the revolt of 1857 can be described under these heads. Political causes. The indiscriminate annexation of Indian states through subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse created mistrust, suspicion and fear among the princes. The Mughals felt humiliated as Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar was informed that his successors would not be regarded as king and would have to abandon their historic home at Red Fort. Trivia. Lord Dalhousie's Doctrine of Lapse stated that the kingdom of an Indian ruler who is not survived by a natural male heir will pass on under British control. The annexation of Awadh on the plea of maladministration created panic, as Nawab of Awadh had been the most loyal and submissive ruler of his time. Hindus were enraged as Nana Sahib was denied his pension and forced to live in Kanpur away from his home state. The annexation of Indian states resulted in large-scale unemployment as its ministers, courtiers, officers and soldiers lost their jobs and found no avenues for re-employment under the new dispensation. Economic causes. The peasants were oppressed by the new land revenue system that made excessive demands to them. They were dispossessed of their land in case of failure of payment. Due to high duties imposed on cotton and silk, the producers stopped the manufacture of these goods. Many craftsmen and artisans lost the royal patronage after the annexation of princely states and became impoverished. The ruination of handicraft industry led to too much pressure on land. The high posts in civil services, army and the judiciary were reserved for the British, and even the educated Indians were not given any high posts or given better salaries. Socio-religious reasons. People felt threatened by the activities of Christian missionaries who tried to convert people and made public attacks on Hinduism and Islam. The government seemed to be supporting them as well. The interference of the British in the age-old customs of sati, polygamy, child marriage, etc. antagonized the orthodox section of the society. Legislations against sati, support for widow remarriage and other such measures were looked upon as interference in the lives of the people. The introduction of English education, encouraging women's education, introduction of railway and telegraph were viewed with suspicion that British wanted to use these for spreading Christianity. Lands belonging to temples and mosques were taxed, which not only hurt the religious sentiments but also deprived the families dependent on these lands for their income. Military causes. Indian sepoys were forbidden to wear caste and sectarian marks such as tilak and beard or turban. The General Service Enlistment Act in 1856 required every Indian soldier to serve overseas. Many Sepoys believed that overseas travel would lead to loss of caste. The Sepoys were often humiliated by their British seniors. The Indian soldiers were paid less and could not rise above the rank of Subedar. Their foreign service allowance was discontinued just before the revolt, causing a deduction in salary. The inequality in the sanction of rations, pay structure, and living conditions between the British and Indian soldiers in the barracks caused a lot of dissatisfaction. Trivia: the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857 was not only a revolt of soldiers, but it represented Indians' anger against British injustice and cruelty. The revolt was the statement of mass desire to be independent of British rule. Immediate cause: in 1856, the army introduced a new rifle, the Enfield rifle, which had a greased paper wrapper around the cartridge. The Sepoy had to bite off the paper to load it into the rifle. The rumor that the new cartridges were greased with the fats of cows and pigs created an offensive feeling among the Hindus and Muslims. Hindus worshipped cows and Muslims detested pigs. They refused to use the new rifles as they hurt the religious sentiments of both the communities. Many historians also believe in this story and feel it was a deliberate move to hurt the Indian sentiments. Some historians, however, believe that these were only rumors. By the time the British woke up to the damage done by it,